papers are either too easy or too hard.
No!
But this paper, just nice. Could this paper be one of the most relevant paper? Why not? In today's episode of PPR. Alright, welcome back to another video. This is Yio from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. And for today's Prelim Paper review, it is a fan submission. It is from 2024 Yio Chu Kang Secondary School E Math Paper 2. Now firstly, before I begin, these are the questions that I feel are insightful and worth your time. And for students who would like to download this paper, you're invited to join my Telegram channel where I've uploaded a short summary along with a download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And for students who like to join me, yes, I have opened a tuition center near Boon Keng, near SAJC. Open classes have started, trial classes have started. What are you waiting for? Link is in the bio. I'll see you there. This paper was introduced to me because the fan who submitted this paper wanted to know how to solve one of the questions. And I can see why most students would struggle with that. But just because of one question, does this make this a good paper? Find out via my 3 matrices. Number 1, relevance. Number 2, insightfulness. Number 3, difficulty. Before I give an overall score and recommend to you the type of students who should try this paper. And of course, if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, what would be a fair expectation of her from me in order for her to score an A in her actual O-levels? Firstly, relevance. Looking through the entire paper, it does seem like what you expect to be in paper 2 is in this paper 2 as well. Contextual question, real-world application, number patterns, your shapes. But you have to admit, comparing this paper to the previous edition, the 2023 O-level paper that I've reviewed, it seemed to pale in comparison in terms of explanation, in terms of surprises. This paper feels like it's very technical with very minimal explanations and maybe not so closely modeled to the O-levels. However, there are still a substantial amount that feels rather familiar to you. And some of you may even find that this paper will be more relevant to the older edition of it, which is generally more technical and less surprises. And therefore, putting everything together, I think the relevance of this paper will be given a rather decent 7 out of 10. Next, insightfulness. This paper was sent to me because there was one question that stumped the student completely, and that question was indeed insightful. But then if you look through the rest of the paper, as I've said just now in relevance already, it feels like rather it's modeled after the older generation. Yes, that's a contextual question, but that contextual question to me feels rather dry, and the number patterns itself, where most students would struggle to get the marks, is rather easy to break through. There really isn't much of a surprise in this paper, there really isn't much of a learning point, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 questions. Generally, I think the insightfulness is really lacking, if not for that one question. That one question really carried the insightfulness for this paper. And hence, the insightfulness of this paper will be given a rather decent 6.5 out of that. As for difficulty, there are quite a lot of algorithm mistakes that you could make because of negative fractions, stuff like that. And for most students at this point, now that you finish your prelims, all these things seem very pathetic to you, seem very minuscule to you, and therefore you really know to be careful of them. Some questions does feel too easy, and I think the best way for me to put it is usually circle properties. It could be a bit difficult for some students. Usually for vectors, it could be difficult for a big group of students. But in this paper, really, the questions are not going to stump you at all. But most of the paper, and hence the difficulty of this paper, is definitely not high, but there are small things in there. There's a sprinkle of 1 or 2 questions that will trip you up. All in all, the difficulty be given a rather fair 5.5 out of that. Overall, do I like this paper? Yeah, definitely, I quite like it. In fact, this will be one of the paper that I'll keep towards the end, because it's a paper that is going to help you build confidence. And at the same time, there's just 1 or 2 difficult questions to remind you that, E-Math can be difficult. This paper is generally smooth sailing, is rather relevant, it's going to feel like a 10-year series, although the older version of it. It has all the basic elements I look for in a typical prelim paper, but clearly not the best. And hence, the overall score of this paper will be given a somewhat above average 6.5 out of 10. And if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, a fair expectation of her from me would be 85%. in order for her to score an A in her actual O-levels. And finally, who would I recommend this paper to? I recommend this paper to every student out there, especially if you are a below average student. And I know, for the students who take A Math, this paper may be a breeze for you. But generally, your E Math is not just catered to the A Math students, there's also a substantial group of students who are just not very good with math, and you need a starting point. This could be the starting point for you, and for students who are just average or above average, maybe you could save this paper towards the end, where you want a confidence booster to feel good about yourself before you enter the exam hall. Ultimately, any student who tries this paper should do it as a time practice, and after which, remember the questions that I mentioned that are insightful. Really review them. You may have solved them, but look at them again and find out why this question was difficult for most students to begin with. And hence, if you are a student looking for a time practice, looking for a paper to simulate the O-levels, but at a lesser level, this paper is for you. Alright, so we have come to the end of this Prelim Paper review of 2024 Yio Chu Kang Secondary School E Math Paper 2. Now, if you like what I'm doing, follow me on TikTok, like my video, comment, and share it with your friends. I'm sure this will help them, because ultimately, I'm on my way to 10,000 followers. And for students who like to download this paper, you are invited to join my Telegram channel, where I've uploaded a short summary along with a download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And for students who like to join me, yes, I have opened a tuition center near Boon King, near SAJC. Trial classes have started, open classes have started. What are you waiting for? Link is in the bio. I'll see you there. Nothing else. This is Yio from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. Take care.